Okay, verses 7 and 8 says, Then Herod called the magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, Go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me so that I too may go and worship him. So he's called in these chief priests and the teachers of the law and gotten their answer. And then Herod calls the magi back in for a private meeting. And he asks the magi when the star appeared or when they noticed the star. And the magi assume, and Herod assumes, that the appearance of this star coincides with the birth of the Messiah. Don't know how they made that connection, but they did. Could have been a God-revealed thing. Could have been something like, for the magi, it just could have been something that they had observed over and over, that there would be these signs that they would ascribe in the sky to the birth of royalty somewhere, and all of a sudden, hey, we noticed this star. It's never burned this bright before, or the star was never there before. Don't know exactly how it worked, but probably means a king has been born somewhere. So they assume that the appearance of this star coincides with the birth of the Messiah. And all Herod wants to know from the magi here is when this person he sees as a threat to his throne was born. And Herod tells them to continue on their way and do what they came to do. And then he gives them that false story. He says, after you've worshipped him, you come back and tell me where he is, so I too can go and worship him. And that word worship means to bow down to him. Okay, so, what we know of Herod's personality, what we know of his character, he wasn't about to bow down to he wasn't about to bow down to anybody, right? He wasn't going to humble himself before anyone. Verses 9 through 12, and this is where we're going to end tonight. It says, After they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen when it rose went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother, Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. Now, there are a lot of theories about how this star was this comet, or it was this star, or it was this heavenly body. But this makes it quite clear that whatever it was miraculous, because it stood still. It stood still. Stars and heavenly bodies don't appear to stand still. Why? Because the earth continues to rotate, right? So if a heavenly body appears to stand still, one of two things has happened, both of them miraculous. Either the earth has stopped rotating, okay, or that has stayed in perfect harmony with the rotation of the earth, so it looks like it isn't moving. And both of those things are supernatural. Okay? So this is a miraculous something in the sky. Jerusalem is only located about 5 miles from Bethlehem, so this trip would not have taken long. We don't know how much time passed from when the Magi first came to Herod and when he called the priests and the scribes, and then when he called the Magi back in again. Don't know how long that was. But in this time, Joseph, Mary, and baby Jesus had found a house to stay in. So again, your creche or your manger scenes might not be exactly biblical. Okay, if you've got the wise men riding in on donkeys to see Jesus in the manger in kind of like a barn-like setting, enjoy it. Okay? Just enjoy it. Probably not biblical, but enjoy it, because it's part of the beauty of Christmas. All right? So Matthew is very careful here to say that the Magi worshipped Jesus. They didn't worship Joseph. They didn't worship Mary. It says that they worshipped him. And Matthew is very careful to say that the Magi presented their gifts to Jesus. Didn't give them to Mary, didn't give them to Joseph, but gave them to him. The gifts were gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Gold has always been the most precious of metals and connected with royalty. Frankincense was an incense used in temple worship with certain offerings as a symbol of people's desire to please the Lord. So it was always kind of a God-oriented type of incense. And myrrh was a perfume that was mixed with other spices in preparing bodies for burial. So those were the Magi's gifts to Jesus. Gold for his royalty, frankincense for his deity, and myrrh for his humanity. Then it wraps up by saying that the Magi were warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, and so they returned to their country by another route.